Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben. I'm joined here by Dylan and Brian, and we're here to talk about episode 2 of Survivor 41. And it was, I think it was an okay episode on the whole. Another confusing and convoluted twist we'll have to break down tonight, but otherwise, I thought the story was good. What are you guys' overall thoughts before we jump in, Dylan?
It was okay. We'll get into it. This season, in my opinion, is quickly beginning to spiral downward. Yeah, it was okay. How about you, Ryan?
Hey, man, welcome to Modern Survivor.
Yeah, a very, very modern Survivor. Post-pandemic Survivor, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why would we let the game speak for itself? You know, the game that people have loved for 2 decades, when we can add stupid twists to it. That'd be dumb of us to just let the game play out. But I
want to clarify, the pandemic's still going on. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not post-pandemic, but we are post. Not allowed to play Survivor during the pandemic. Yeah, it was fine, but I don't know. I always feel like in my curmudgeon, I've been out of the game for so long. I don't know what the pulse is of Survivor fans. I'm not as big as an RHAP fan as I used to be, so I don't know what people are saying over there. But, like, man, can we just, like, not do these twists? Like, fuck. Let's just watch Survivor. Jesus.
Yeah. All right. I guess before we tear too hard into this, like, let's set the stage here. Let's talk about some of the good things, I think, from the episode. One of the good things from this episode is we have an opening scene here on Ua.
Yes.
Which was, in my opinion, probably one of the highlights of the episode, where we have Brad on the beach, and he realizes that Ricard and JD are going to go for a walk to the water well, presumably to talk strategy. And he pulls a bit of a Tony Vlachos here, where he's like, I'm going to make a spy shack on the on the fly here, on the fly shack.
On what, day 3? Is this day 3, I think?
Yes. I think this is day 3. Yeah. And he's going to sprint the long way around and beat them to the water well, hide in the bush, overhear their mostly worthless conversation, in my opinion, and then sprint all the way back to the beach and relay this information to Shan and Sheeny.
He learned literally nothing. He learned nothing. There was nothing detrimental in that conversation. You would have thought he just cracked the Da Vinci Code the way he ran back to the camp. Yeah. Oh man, I think you guys might have been right about Brad after all.
Oh, I know I was. When I was watching him do that, I was like, I fucking nailed this guy.
God. The way he just took off too, like with Shannon,
very lanky
in there. He just, oh man, yeah, interesting. It'll go into my theme and my thought of this episode that there is just a lot of bad gameplay going on, and that's for sure. That for sure kicked off this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the biggest thing about this scene to me was we got let in on the fact that Ricard also feels like Shan is his biggest ally.
Yep.
I did not feel like the last episode like made that the case. Did you guys? No, yeah. No. But he's like, oh, Shan is my biggest ally. Of course she told me what Brad did. And I was like, oh, all right, I guess. Shan's killing it. I don't know.
Technically also not wrong, I guess, because I think that she's probably his only ally now.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think the takeaway from the scene is that, like, if there's any crazy genius to the Spy Shack, which I think the Spy Shack is, like, overrated as a strategy. It's definitely an incredible television, but from a strategic perspective, the value of the Spy Shack is getting information in secret that no one else knows about to be able to eavesdrop on people. when you're this blatant about it and you tell everyone about it, it basically negates any kind of value you could have even theoretically got out of this. And as we mentioned, there was nothing in this conversation that was remotely useful.
Yeah, and if anything, it just made Shan be like, Brad, little bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah, as she says in a confessional, that if they have to go to tribal council next, that she would push for him to go. And from what we can tell, she's in the spot to be able to do it, because it seems like everybody thinks that she's their number one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for Ua. I think that's the last time we saw them there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we get our short Luvu camp scene, which was basically an inversion of the situation from last week and the expectation that might have been set from the preview for this week.
I know, they edited that really deceptively.
No, that's pretty classic for Survivor. Is just like doing this kind of anti-projection of the next week. Like anything that happens or seems to be projected in a preview, you can almost guarantee is being falsely edited to make it deceptive. Because it seemed like everyone thought from the preview that Nasir would still be a target in this week and that he would be like potentially on a chopping block. But this opening scene from them is just like, oh, Nasir is really good at this wilderness stuff, and we all kind of suck at it, so we might actually need to keep him around, otherwise we might starve and die.
Exactly. It's like, so straight up, we will die without Nasir. We can't vote him off, so this is good for us.
They may die from Nasir, the way he was whipping around that machete. He made one stronger toss than he intends. That may be someone's head. Yeah. For the very minimal time we got to spend with the other tribes in this episode, I think I liked Nasir a little bit more, even after some silly gameplay from him last week. On the opposite side, for Ua, I feel the same, if not lesser, about everyone in that tribe other than Shan. And that's pretty much it. We don't really get much exposure to really anyone else outside of that other than Yase. And I feel like we may be spending a lot of time with Yase the next week or two.
Yeah,
hey, we called it. Fucking nailed the.
So I take back my lovable losers from last week. They're now just losers, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bad News Bears is still somewhat, appropriate to a degree. I know maybe this will be where we have our first disagreement of the season, because it seems like you're going to be down on Evie's gameplay, and I'll be definitely on the opposite side of that argument if that's where that's going. So that could be interesting to get to.
Finally, some sort of conflict we need here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we actually get to our immunity challenge here like 20 minutes into the episode or something. It was like very early, presumably because they have to do the prisoner's dilemma bullshit.
Yeah, they have to do it.
Yeah. And it's not particularly interesting.
So, I definitely don't want to. I don't want to skip over though. Right before that, the kind of the biggest hiccup of this entire episode.
Oh right, yeah.
Which is the new immunity idol. What is it? The Beware idol. Man, that sucks. That stinks. I do not like that at all. I feel so bad for Xander. Yeah. And that's the intention of this season is playing hard. It may literally be a death sentence for you in this game, because man, he's a guy who has an extra vote. What he can't use now, he has an idol that he's not going to be able to use, and probably won't be able to use for another week or two if he even makes it past that. I don't think they explained it. I assume he can't use the die roll, so he's literally he's literally just there. He's there now, and he better hope that they win the challenges going forward, because man, that stinks. That's my biggest gripe with this episode, and why I think that this season's really kind of going down is I think that's a really, really dumb quote unquote advantage, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. It is the Jamal Shipman Memorial Get Fucked
or
advantage. Devin Freitas, yeah, like the big anti advantage. They've done a couple bad ones. I feel like this is the worst one. Yeah, personally, maybe the worst twist ever. Maybe. I mean, what, the Medallion of Power is still out there.
Okay, look, no, the Medallion of Power gets shit on because it was inconsequential, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the Medallion of Power is not a bad twist. It was like, it just didn't matter, and it like made the immunity shot visible. Alright? This is like a legitimately bad twist that actively hurts the game, in my opinion.
It's the strongest point of Survivor really was the vote and the ability to vote. Yep. And I think actively both giving people extra, because there's seemingly going to be a few people with extra votes, and taking away votes from people. I don't know if that's necessarily a harder, faster gameplay as it is to you're just straight up limiting what a lot of people can do in the game. And I'm assuming maybe down the road that we're going to get to a point where we're going to be having 3 or 4 extra votes in a vote, depending on how long people hold on to these.
Yeah, we're going to be at the merge of 13 with 20 votes to read. Jeff's going to be up there all night just pulling them out. The only saving grace I can potentially find with this, and this is me like trying to give the most charitable best case scenario thing, is in the last like few seasons, the over-reliance on like play an idol, find the idol, play an idol, find an idol, it's gotten too much, in my opinion, to the point where it's like become a legitimate strategy to potentially win. And one person did win using that strategy of I'm just going to find an idol and play it every tribal council. If these are the only idols in the game and they can only get activated one time and that's it, there's no merge idol, I can be like fine with it. But if these are going to be in the game and we're going to get hidden immunity idols at some point, this is a bridge too far for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think this isn't going to be it. I think this might be it for the pre-merge, but I definitely think we're getting normal idols in the post-merge. Even if these idols are activated, which we're going to be talking about.
What happens if Xander got voted off?
I think they're just dead. I think that whoever finds it in the other tribes and opens it just loses their vote in the merge. Is what I think happens.
Yeah, is it to the merge? Is it forever?
No. Somebody clipped the instructions and put it on Reddit. It says at the bottom it's only till the merge.
All right. Okay. Doing the Lord's work, honestly.
Yeah.
No, that was a great cry.
It wasn't explained in the show, so we should not have to be taking screenshots of rules from the episode and like reading the fine print to understand how the game fundamentally works.
There's so the one thing that I'm holding out hope for is I do think that once we get to merge, that this game will drastically change. And by change, I mean probably go back to the normal Survivor that we love, because one thing that's really bothering me is the time spent with flashbacks and going to the Prisoner's Dilemma Island is really taking away from camp life, which is one of my favorite. Usually, where you get the most laughs and you get all the strategies when they're around a camp life. Like when Xander mentioned that they struggled through a rainstorm last night with no flint and seemingly not that great a shelter. No idea. And then I watched a clip today that was like a left out clip of Heather on Luvu that was like hilarious and potentially, although I think that maybe without spoiling anything, I think that maybe the reason they didn't show it is because it's just a nothing clip down the road for the game. But yeah, between the idols, the fourth wall being broken by Jeff before Tribal, the flashback.
That was so off-putting. Holy shit!
Yeah, that was.
I almost forgot about that.
That was worse than the Borneo gong.
I hated that so much. Oh, there was just so much in this episode that really soured my outlook on this season. Unfortunately,
it reminded me. Check out our Big Brother podcast, The Have Not Room. It reminded me of Julie Chen explaining very like obvious things to the audience, like Jeff just being like, "Remember, at Tribal Council, it comes down to." Are you going to keep someone for the challenge prowess, or are you going to stay for your alliance? It's like, thanks, Jeff. 41 seasons in, I think we got it. I think we know what's going to happen at Tribal.
Yep. They have this game within the game for the kids at home to play along with, and then they also have Jeff explaining the actual rules of the game to us as if we were children. So.
Yeah. I guess that is drop the 4, keep the 1, because he did do this shit during Borneo. in 2000. So
yeah, the soft reboot.
They're treating it like a soft reboot. Yeah, exactly.
I really wonder if they think that many people just like forgot about Survivor in the year plus that it's been gone, because they keep because for people like us, and especially for me, since I've been binging Survivor since the spring, I obviously I don't need no explanation about what's going on in Tribal. I mean, I really wonder if they anticipate just that many new and potentially young people watching this season, because there's a lot of young like that puzzle thing that they have going on for the quote unquote young survivors too. I hope that doesn't keep up the entire season, because if it does, back to that point, it just feels so weird. I saw somebody on Reddit say it seems like a satirical take on Survivor. Like it's like I hate it. I hate it.
It's like a really well done parody. It is, yeah.
Yeah, a parody. That's the proper word. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you feel this way, because like a lot of the times Ben and I complain to each other about Modern Survivor, and I do wonder, like, are we just nostalgic for old times, like how anyone can be about stuff? Was it really better in the old days? And some parts sure, and I'm sure some parts no, but these things, like anytime, like you said, Dylan, anytime you're doing these twists where it takes you away from the action of camp to do like a basically just arbitrary bullshit, like for a good portion of the show, like this is bad. Like we've had Redemption Island, we've had The Edge of Extinction, we've had these twists that bring you away from the meat of the game, and I think universally people have not responded well to them, but for some reason Jeff creams his pants over them. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. So which one do you want to, well, I guess we kind of shit on the Beware twist, but you want to go into like further detail on like why it's bad? You want to talk about this island that still does not have a name? It's like an exile island, extinction situation. I don't even know what to call it.
I was half paying attention. I was like, wait, are they sending someone to exile? And then I like rewound it, and I was like, oh, we're just doing the same thing. Okay.
So I am curious of what you guys thought of Xander almost immediately telling Voce and Evie, because at first I hated, but then I don't know what other choice he had, because obviously one.
No, he had to. He had to do that.
That's another downfall, is that he literally had to tell them, and not to drag on that idol talk. I think there's a point where just everyone's going to know who has an idol down the road. But I mean, I digress. I don't want to.
Hey, we're moving to the point of like the fabled Survivor immunity idol island, right? Like at a certain point, just give everyone a fucking idol to start the game, and let's just like tear the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously he had to tell them because he lost his vote, and it's a five person tribe, and they have a 3-person alliance presumably. So that's very important margins that you have to make sure to clear with your allies when you've gone out of your way and lost your vote. And then on top of that, we haven't even gotten to the catchphrases / code words that they have to say at the immunity challenge, I believe over and over again until all of the idols are found, that are completely clunky, and obviously as they're going to be repeated and said over and over again, like going to be like, oh, everyone's going to catch on. There's something going on here. There's an advantage or an idol or something that has to be, activated, right? Like this is not going to stay a secret. And yeah, if Xander does survive until a swap, as we'll even talk about with the Shipwreck Island conversation, people already know. Everybody basically in the game is going to figure out that he has an idol anyways. So yeah, not great.
My only hope is like he's smart enough to be like, okay, I tried. I'm not going to say shit until someone else says shit, and then I'm going to try to work it in. Like when people are like, oh, that's weird, I'd be like, oh, dude, don't worry about it. Remember when I said this? Like we're all suffering out here and saying crazy shit.
Yeah, and then you have to do it a third time.
Then you have to do it a third time.
Yeah.
I would just love if they'd never get found. And Xander just has to, like, one, he doesn't do what I would do and just says it every time. People are just like, does Xander have brain damage? Like, why is he saying this? Yeah. I know he's like the Fabio archetype, but this is too much.
Yeah.
It was literally what that meme has been waiting for its entire life, of the guy with the butterfly.
The butterfly.
Is this my dead relatives? Like, that's literally that meme has been waiting its entire life for that. Very. Sorry. I was gonna say it's very funny, but it's not funny enough for me to hate what the rest of that idol.
Oh yeah.
Happens. I think it will be obviously be very interesting, because I feel like it's almost inevitable that all three of them are going to be found. I feel just almost for the show's sake, it has to happen, because like you said, if they don't, that sucks. Yeah, that sucks for Xander. That sucks for us. That's well. Crazy.
Here's the thing: we're going to talk about like if Xander were to have gotten voted out in this episode, which he very close to did. But Yas is looking like they're probably going to lose again next week at this point. So what happens if he gets voted out next week, and then just like two people on the other two tribes find this advantage and just lose their votes for 4 rounds?
I think at that point, if Xander gets voted off, the producers are
go and take him out of the camp.
Yeah, and throwing him into the fire. Or they have a other printed version that only has 2 phrases on it that they can hide.
I wonder if a situation where, say, Deshaun finds it, and Evie calls out the saying to activate the idol for him. I guess she doesn't have the idol itself, but it will still activate them. Because and not to skip forward in you, Ben, but I guess at that point we can go to the island after 2 of.
We don't need to talk about the challenge. The challenge was unimportant.
Tiffany was mad. There was a turtle puzzle. That's it.
Yeah. The only thing you can say about the challenge is Tiffany was bad. I don't think that their puzzle ability is very strong, especially now that obviously one of their puzzle people's gone. But yeah, that was that challenge. Luvu was just dominating, and I feel like that's just going to be the case for at least another week or 2. So there really is not much more to say about that.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the shipwreck thing. Exile Island, whatever it's called, where the winning tribe gets to pick a member from the losing tribe, and then a member from either their tribe or the other winning tribe to go to the Prisoner's Dilemma Shipwreck Island together. And they pick Evie to go from the losing tribe, and then Deshaun volunteers to go from the winning tribe. And they both basically know how this works because they had people go to it already and tell them how it works. So they colluded to make it so that Deshaun was to get an extra vote, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, over on the edge of my patience here, we got. I was like, oh, I wonder what this twist will be this time. Oh, it's the same twist. Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I was going to say, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought they were going to do something different. I was very surprised to see.
I was 100% like, oh, this will be a new thing. Because why would we want Why would we want another extra vote? Not that another stupid advantage would be good, but like, how many votes are we gonna have? Like, 2. Okay, the prisoner's dilemma. We've done it. It's like, if anything, with 2 people, it's way less likely to happen where both of them risk their vote. Like, the thing with 3 people is it's like really tough to know what's gonna happen with people you don't even know.
Yeah, and especially when everybody in the game at this point basically knows how it works. Like, it's super easy to do what we did here and just collude, especially if you have somebody from a losing tribe and somebody from a winning tribe. The losing tribe member is usually going to be like, oh, I really need my vote tonight. I'm literally going to tribal council now. I need my vote. So let's just like make a deal here. You can get the extra vote, and then maybe we'll see each other in the future. Like, this just seems like the obvious way to play it.
What would happen if Xander was sent there? Not to keep bringing up Xander. What would happen if he was there?
2 extra votes he can't use.
Well, that's the whole thing. How can he protect or risk a vote that he is not allowed to cast because of his beware advantage? Like, how does that work? Because we can talk about, like, can he cast his extra vote with the beware advantage? I think the answer is no. Can he play a shot in the dark without being able to sacrifice his vote? I think the answer is no. Mm-hmm. So what happens? Does the twist a wash? Would Deshaun have just gotten it by default? Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
I think I was going to say, I think that just lays out the frustrations that I'm having.
Yeah.
I don't even think that they have thought through this, honestly.
I was going to say, I 100% do not believe the producers thought of that as a situation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just literally Calvin Ball. Just make up the rules as you go.
It's a disaster. I don't know what else to say.
I'm getting mad just talking about
Although, hilariously, I guess not hilariously, but if we want to be like, hey, look, I need an extra vote. This is how it works. I'm going to tribal. Maybe you could convince someone there and be like, I will get you back, in the future. Maybe that could be a thing. Or, even force their hand, I am not protecting my vote and going for the extra vote. You can lose your vote, too, if you want, but I'm going for it no matter what.
Yeah.
You know?
Kind of extortion kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Those are the only situations where I could see potentially something interesting happening here.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we can get to the conversation. Because I think this is probably one of the things that Dylan has the biggest gripe with. This is what I've seen online that people have had the biggest gripe with.
So I'll kick us off. I actually don't. So. Okay. I think the game that I think Evie has essentially secured herself a spot at Merge at this point, and so I don't think that she's playing a bad game. We'll get to why I think that she made a bad mistake at the end of this episode, but I think that she did two great things even before she got to the Prisoner's Island. I'm just going to call it Prisoner's Island. We had her. We clearly saw that Xander is faithful in her. We clearly saw that Evie has a strong reliance with Leanna and Tiffany. So in her own tribe, she literally is part of the only two alliances there. Mm-hmm. Evie goes to talk to Deshaun, who now there is an alliance potentially on another tribe for the Merge. I think that is very smart. The only one who I think has secured their place in the Merge right now is Evie. So I do not hate that aspect at all. That was very smart.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, because well then we'll save the discussion of back and forth for the vote situation because I'm going to be firmly on the side of Evie did nothing wrong in the episode. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think in this conversation,
right, 100%. That when as a woman, when you get to the end with male allies, at least in the most recent seasons, they don't give you credit, and I think she's 100% right to do what she's doing.
Yeah. But yeah, going to the Deshaun conversation first, I thought it was pretty fine from what Evie is capable of knowing, right? Without going back to camp and seeing the chaos that's unfolding, essentially. From Evie's perspective, Xander is basically locked in to go home. And Xander can do nothing about it because, as we saw at the challenge, nobody else said the phrase. So Evie knows that Xander's idol is null and he doesn't have a vote. And so all of this information cannot theoretically come back to hurt Evie if Xander does go. Obviously, it doesn't have that happening. But from this perspective, with the information that was available, I think the conversation was well done. And they're right that there's going to be a swap or a merge at some point. Obviously, Yase is down in the numbers right now. And, presumably, if they are planning on voting out Xander and going with this three-person women's alliance, probably going to lose further challenges and go even further down in the numbers. So preemptively trying to create a bond or strategic relationship or an alliance across the tribe for that point, I think is very smart. I don't really have a problem problem with any of the information that was given away, or with the collusion to allow Deshaun to get an extra vote, because you're basically playing already from a position where you're in the hole, so you have to put yourself out there to create these kind of opportunities.
For sure. And honestly, there's not too much of a downside for Evie in the sense okay, the Yase tribe gets decimated here, and it's Evie and Leon. Let's say Liana, or maybe Xander, but probably Liana.
Probably Liana.
They're not that threatening, in a swap, in a merge situation. So they're going to be able to potentially have a little bit of time to get their bearings and let the other two tribes go at it. Which, I mean, Luvu is great to win, but it's oftentimes the most successful tribe in these 3 tribe formats that get very targeted and ganged up on by the other 2 tribes at a merge. So,
yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I mean, we'll talk about, in terms of my evaluation of her strategy in the later part of the game. I think that this idea of the intentional matsing that's been brought up as kind of a meme ever since Philippines, of intentionally decimating your tribe in a 3-tribe format so that you can play the middle at a merge, and do kind of what Denise and Malcolm ended up doing in that season, is I think not an unreasonable strategy, especially if you're already down that path.
Yeah. And
so.
Evie is more than happy, it seems, to just continue down the path, which I get. They're in a great position.
Yeah.
I think Evie, at least from what we've seen, because obviously we've only really had exposure to Yase. I think she's playing a really smart game. Let's get into the chaos, and then I'll explain why she made a mistake.
Right. So while this scene is going on, we have everyone kind of panicking and acting like a chicken with the head cut off, because everyone was essentially counting on Evie to be their second or third vote, and in terms of Voce and Xander, they were relying on Evie to be kind of a bit of an envoy to Liana to bring her into this vote against Tiffany, because they don't have a 3-2 advantage anymore with Xander losing his vote. And so we have a few things happening. Firstly, we have an interesting conversation where Voce tries to pitch this to Liana. I thought this was a very awkward conversation. I don't know if you guys got that vibe.
She didn't seem into it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I don't know what their relationship's like outside of that conversation, but it just we haven't been shown that they have a relationship at all.
Yeah.
So that probably didn't help.
Yeah.
I think we hit the nail on the head last week when we said that Evie is driving this tribe for sure, and I think that showed that Liana is her right wing. I think that was tough for Voce. I still at that point did not think Voce was in any sort of danger. I thought it was so very, very clear. It was either Xander or Tiffany, and it was the classic the strength of the tribe or the strength of an alliance. And I at the same time I think that Voce just thought that it was a layup that Tiffany was going home. And I think that also goes back to how well the game Evie's playing. I think that because on the opposite side, I think that he's Xander's right hand man, and I think that they just thought they were solid. So I think that almost to a mistake that he wasn't panicking. I think that he just thought he wanted to go over there and secure that, hey, it's Tiffany, right? And props to Liana, because another one who I think has secured her spot in a merge is Liana by teaming up with Evie and staying strong. But man, then Tiffany just lost her mind. I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. I loved the meme I sent Brian in the Discord chat of the Captain America saying, "No, I don't think I will," when Evie was saying, "I literally saw the rules. I know he literally is not going to be able to have a vote tonight. He does not have an idol." And it's Captain Cap saying, "No, I don't think I will."
Yeah. I mean, I think it's somewhat defensible at first when Evie is not there because obviously Liana doesn't have the full context or the full information herself to be able to convey to Tiffany. And so, like, they are both kind of somewhat in the dark about exactly how this works, and it is a very fucking confusing twist. Yes. Like, it's like intentionally confusing. So it's not like too out of the realm of possibility for somebody to be like, okay, I don't understand how this works. It sounds like he has an idol. Like, I don't want this to bounce back on me. But when Evie comes back and explains how it works and says, I saw the rules on the parchment, I know exactly how it works. I'm 100% confident that he does not have a working, functional idol right now. Like, at that point, like, you're already trusting that Evie is going to vote with you, right? So, if you're trusting that Evie is going to vote with you, why would you not also trust the information that you're getting, right? Because, like, there's no reason for Evie to lie if Evie's lying, you're screwed either way. So that means Evie's with Voce and Xander regardless, right? Because there's no reason to lie about this. The only reason would be if you're getting voted out. So, like, it doesn't matter, right? So, like, it's just I don't know. It just seemed like Tiffany was in a panic because she knew that she was on the chopping block. She seen her vote at the previous tribal council. She knew that she performed so poorly in the challenge, and by all conventional wisdom, she should be on the, like, you know, in the sites to be voted out here. And she just didn't think. Like, she just turned her brain off and panicked.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, bro.
I lost my train of thought. Anyways, I think that Tiffany obviously did panic, but I was almost... Obviously, they came to an agreement to vote Voce off at some point. But, like, I was thinking, like, if I was in Evie's position, I would literally have to spend... I know Xander doesn't have an idol. I know he doesn't have a vote. I'm just going to go with Liana and be like, yo, you and I are voting for Xander, and we're going to let her vote for Voce and just fucking get this over with, because she is freaking out and she's not listening to me.
Yeah. No, I think there's an argument for the two on one in it, but the, like, you know, the counter argument would then be like, oh, Tiffany is already completely unhinged and, you know, unreliable.
What would happen after that?
If we lie to her about who we're voting out and then come back after that, like, you know, this could get worse.
So I think that's where the flaw in what went on happened is. I think we clearly saw that Tiffany was losing it, and to the opposite point of at the end they showed that they were loyal to her. I don't think that they had any reason to show that they were loyal to her. I think that she had every reason to show that she was loyal to them, because Evie was her only option. Evie and Lena were her only option. Yep. She was losing it. She was essentially questioning Evie. And I was honestly starting to think that maybe she was going to panic to the point that she went to go with Xander and Voce. I was, like, kind of waiting for that to happen. And then we saw Leanna get, like, actually upset at how stupid Tiffany was being. That's when I thought that was going to be the nail in the coffin for Tiffany. Mm-hmm. So when I saw how upset Leanna got, I think so. My pitch why I think the smarter move was just to go with Tiffany, at least for Evie, and Evie would have been trying to take on Leanna, and obviously Leanna has a brain of her own. But I thought voting out Tiffany, Evie still has Xander. Voce will think that he has Xander and Evie has Liana. So at worst case scenario, we would have a split, but that's with Xander having a vote. Yeah. On the argument to vote out Xander, you keep Voce, who is, like, seemingly your only other puzzle person, which I think if you're sticking Tiffany or Leanna in, I don't think you're as strong, and they've already been pretty bad at puzzles to begin with. But at this point, it seems like that they're just, like I said, playing for the merge. I think they've kind of accepted that they're just not going to win these challenges, and to Evie's credit, that is smart. And I've let that marinate a little bit since last night. Like I said, I think Evie and Leanna have secured their spots in the merge, but now not voting out Xander, I think, was almost the dumber move than than keeping Tiffany was now Xander has another day to activate that idol, and if he does, he now has 3 votes. Evie does have the confidence in Xander. I'm curious of what the talk's going to be when they go back, because Xander was almost not even upset at them. He was just like, "Oh, that was tough." I kind of wonder if Xander was.
Knew. Yeah.
But did they show that? Did I miss him? That's what I mean. I was like,
it's tricky.
I was expecting him to be more upset about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost where the flaw in keeping Tiffany is now you have Xander who thinks that his back's against the wall, which it is. And if he gets that idol activated, and I really don't think we're going to see that next episode, but who knows? If he gets that idol activated, I think that is also very bad for Evie. Because Evie's obviously the strongest player on that team. He could almost potentially just vote out Evie himself by playing his idol and then putting all his votes on Evie.
Yeah, I think we were not shown the full story, and I think the full story is Evie and Liana probably weighed the options and were like, "Look, we're gonna vote Xander off or Voce. If we vote Xander off, Voce probably will be upset with us. Maybe we swap. Maybe something weird happens. If we go to Xander and be like, look, we're going to vote Voce off. We want to still work with you going forward. We know you can't vote. I think it's like, okay, we're investing in Xander stocks low for a high payoff in the sense that Xander stays with us. Next round, we can keep him or vote him off if he doesn't get his idol activated because he doesn't have a vote. He has no say. Tiffany has no say because it's the 2 of us. But if we still work with him now and like let him in on the plan, eventually he might have an idol and an extra vote that he's willing to use with us in a merge situation. I think that is what happened, and it was not shown to us. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of that, and then also something that wasn't really brought up at all, and I don't think I've really seen anyone talk about, is weighing the wear advantage versus the shot in the dark. Because we know that as long as Xander doesn't have a vote, he also can't use a shot in the dark, presumably, because you have to sacrifice your vote to do that. So essentially what you're looking at is it higher or lower than 1 in 6 that Xander's idol gets activated in the next day and a half, presumably, because that's probably not going to lose the next challenge, right? Because if they lose the next challenge and go back to tribal council, and it's Voce there, and Voce knows, because Xander just got voted out, that he's in the bottom, he 100% is using a shot in the dark, so he has a guaranteed 1 in 6 chance to screw everything up. So if they think there's a very, very, very low probability that Xander's idol gets activated, lower than 1 in 6, so that's the break point, within the next couple of days before we presumably go to another tribal council, then this is actually probably the safer option for them, statistically, to guarantee safety for Evie and Liana long term. I don't know if that was ran through their mind at all or thought through, but that's the way that I calculated things. And I think that's also another reason why it's defensible to keep Xander.
So that's it shows how Ben thinks and how I think. I'm like, what's this way I can selfishly use someone else?
Well, I think they're both reasonable ways. Yeah, I think they're both reasonable thoughts, especially because Xander has shown himself to be a very selfless and loyal player so far, and been very forthright with information. Yeah.
I think the other frustrating part as a viewer is I think after that first episode and even a little bit of this episode too, I thought Voce was going to be a good player that was going to go decently far. And so I think that the other frustrating part of this for me, like I said, as a fan viewer, is I think we lost a good player way too soon. Because most of the time they'll usually be the one player you think was going to go far, and they're voted out, within the first 4 or 5 tribals. I think a player like Voce going out in the second just shows the difference in this game so far. Because a lot of the time, I think, especially if this was a 2-tribe start, I think Tiffany for sure was going to be gone. I do think that, and I don't know if you agree, the argument could have been made though that if they voted off Tiffany, they still could have tried to attempt to win these challenges, because obviously they would have to. It would go down to 4 versus 4 versus 4 in challenges, and I think that they're together, a collective as a group, we're pretty decent because every single time they've gotten there, they've been decent enough on the puzzles. They've gotten slow starts. They would have probably won that challenge if they all had gotten there at a decent time. Do with the puzzle, Erica and Deshawn, man, they're Erica's a puzzle queen. She's killing it. Something we haven't talked about either because we get a whole 2 minutes with them.
I know Erica is not technically on the show at this point. She's not had a confessional. She's just rocked the puzzles and gotten out.
I just think that my argument why I think it would have been smarter to vote out Tiffany would have been to now make a push to keep winning these challenges, and you take what you hope is a solid alliance into merge, and at that point you're no longer worrying about letting numbers decimate themselves. You now could be the numbers, and I thought, but that's a very, very positive outlook on what seems like a very bad situation at Yase. So in the end, especially now talking to you guys and letting it sit, I don't look down on Evie's decision to keep Tiffany as much. I just don't know if that's what I would have ended up doing. But I'm also here sitting behind the computer screen.
Right.
Yeah.
I think. So we're at 15 players now. Is that correct?
Yep.
So if we merge at the point they've been doing a lot lately, which is 13, we're only 2 votes away from the merge. Also, which is, it sounds ridiculous, but I do think Survivor's kind of trying to be like, okay, pre-merge is whatever. Like, everyone loves the merge, so we're kind of yada-yadaing the pre-merge game to set up for the merge. But we'll see. They could go back to like more classic format. I doubt very much they're gonna wait till 10, but it could be anywhere.
I think 12 maybe.
12.
Do you think they split 2 teams at 14?
I do.
And do 7 and 7 because I think that's what's going to happen now too.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
Yeah.
You could do that at 14. Probably that'd be the only swap, just because we only start with 18 players this season, rather than like 20. They like to do like the start with 2 tribes of 10, break them down into 3 tribes of 6. Then break them back into 2 tribes of 7 later. Like, they like to do all this goofy stuff, but I think we'll get a more straightforward, streamlined, the expanding game that they like to do, which is, the 6 to 7 to 12 or 13.
I do think it would be interesting for us to see, because we've never seen a 3-tribe format go with no swaps from the start of the game into the merge.
Yeah,
we've seen 2 swap into 3 into the merge, I believe. Mm-hmm. But we've never seen
3 swap into 3 into the merge, but we've never had it just go all the way through.
Yep, that was Cambodia.
Yeah, so Cambodia went.
Oh, Cambodia went 2 from 3, 2 to 3,
to back to 2.
Yeah,
and then Heroes Healers Hustler went 3 to 3.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So,
anyway, sorry, Dylan, that we're fucking spoiling all these random.
Well, he's seen Cambodia.
Points.
I'm like staring at my eggshell.
No,
right now, just
but it's. I think seeing a no swap 3-tribe season that goes straight from 3 tribes into a merge would be interesting. Mm-hmm. But I think swaps are kind of overrated. I don't know if that's a hot take, but
I think for a situation like this, it may be beneficial to somebody like Xander. I think that's one of the positives is that you get people because I think in Second Chance it essentially saved Spencer from getting voted out. So I do think that there are some positives like that if you're a fan of people that are in trouble. I do have a question. Speaking of which, who do we think is the worst tribe? The Brains tribe from Cagayan or Yase in this season? I think the Brains tribe would beat Yase in a challenge, if that's what you're asking. I agree. I think Yase. I'm going back. I'm gonna piggyback off Ben. I think we're just gonna deem them the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of comparisons between the Luzon Brains tribe and the Yase tribe. So if I wasn't gonna bring it up, I'm glad that you did. And a lot of tribe be like, oh, this is exactly why the Brains tribe was losing so many challenges because they voted out the 2 strong capable dudes in the first 2 votes. And they just kind of fell apart because they had this one chaotic entity that they refused to vote out, in Jatia and now in Tiffany.
I think even so, Cass, Tasha, Spencer, and Jatia beat the current configuration of Yase in a challenge.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that they had rice that Tiffany would have dumped it out in this episode.
And hey, the Brains won an immunity challenge.
He did, yeah. Well, technically, they won the immunity challenge for the episode that we're about to see. So maybe Yase can pull it out and at least get a second here.
That's fair.
So we'll give him the space. So let them at least match the Brains tribe.
Yeah. Rip Bryce Isaiah. Never forget my winner pick from Survivor. Or no, actually Tasha was my winner pick. I just liked Bryce a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm better than my winner pick for this season.
Yeah, we won't go.
We won't talk about that. Yeah, I don't know. I am curious, I guess, going forward, if Evie and Liana, or in particular Evie, who seems to be driving the strategy on this tribe, are like doing this on purpose to an extent, and like are like cognizant of this idea of like it doesn't actually matter if we lose these challenges because I am never going to get voted out, and if we go into a merge or a swap, like the value that I'm able to bring to another alliance is going to like outweigh the value of winning challenges. I think that to speak to what Dylan said of like, you know, you still want to maximize your chances of winning challenges. I would tend on average to lean towards maximizing my odds in the voting booth to win a vote as opposed to maximizing my odds in a challenge to win a challenge, because I feel like the challenges are way more crapshooty and it's like way harder to like really like lock down who's going to win. And even if like Tiffany is voted out, like that doesn't necessarily guarantee that that they're going to win the next challenge anyways. They could still just be too far in the hole. But if Tiffany is there and Evie thinks that she can be controlled, at least enough to, you know, to not like completely destroy everything, then Evie and Liana at least know that they are 100% essentially safe at the vote. So I would take you know, worse odds in the challenge versus basically guaranteed odds in a vote over like kind of 50-50 either way.
And there's something to be said, honestly, about playing the game and having to vote people out, and then getting to a point where you're playing against players who have not had to have that experience yet. You have a step up. In an all newbie season, you have like a little bit of a competitive edge, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a psychological advantage there, especially,
Yeah, because you've survived tribal. You're not afraid of it at all.
Yeah, and you have like a more concrete trusting in the people that you voted with for 3-4 votes at this point, as opposed to the like somebody like a tribe like Luvu, who may end up heading into a swap or a merge, never going to a tribal council and testing their allegiances and relationships. And that's kind of like the whole like idea behind this like fabled and memed intentional matsing strategy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. You know, it might end up blowing up in Evie and Liana's face right the merge, where you know there's like kind of another group that forms without them that they aren't needed for. But I think from the position they've been given, they've been doing okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else from this episode we want to touch upon?
No, I think we did a really thorough job, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we really went through every potential scenario here.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to pat ourselves on the back too hard, but
like you said, we hit the challenge at the 30-minute mark. I like looked over. I'm like, is this like a random like a reward challenge?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe it was that fast. Or that, or I thought somebody was just gonna get hurt and get a medevaced at 30 minutes. I didn't know what was going on. I hope we get exposure to the other tribes a little bit more next episode, and hopefully a little bit more camp life. I suspect that we're not going to get a whole lot of camp life until we get to the merge, unfortunately. So
yeah,
continue with the flashbacks. That poor Heather on the other team. don't even know anything about her. And like she was one of the people from the secret scene that they showed today, and she seems like she'd be a very interesting player. So I hope that's my one hope is I hope we just get more exposure to the other players next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we were very high on Heather as well from the preseason. Like she was one of the people that we were like, oh, well, many of these older players seem like they are going to be hot messes and flame out, which we were mostly correct on. But Heather seems like the one that actually seems like might have a foot in her to play the game well. So yeah. It is disappointing, especially Erica as well, who's somebody we talked about.
I know. I really want to know what's happening with Erica, and the show's not giving it to us.
Yeah.
I will say one positive about Tiffany, though, is that she's clearly playing a decent enough social game where 2 straight tribals in a row, anybody that's tried to vote against her has been voted out. So there is something to say about that she is playing that side of it decent enough.
Hey, you come for the king, you best not miss. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Do we want to speculate some mechanics here of what happens if Xander's idol does get activated and he plays the idol and his extra vote, and we get like a 2-2 tie between like Liana and Tiffany or something? And and then like Evie and Xander's first vote revote, but Xander is immune from playing his idol. Does Evie get Keith nailed in that situation and like automatically eliminated by default? Like, how does this work?
Brutal. That would be brutal if that were the case. I don't want to go down that road because I know for a fact the producers didn't think this through, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not until worst case scenario, until advantage getting. Would this be 3 or would this be 2? I don't remember, but until we get there, I don't want to give myself like the headaches of trying to go through situations that are hopefully not going to happen.
I'm like running through it in my head now, and I'm getting like dizzy.
Yeah, no, I almost gave myself an aneurysm earlier today trying to piece it together as to like how it would work. It's like, do they just make Liana, because there's 4 of them, do they make just Tiffany and Liana do a fire-making challenge? Like, how does this work?
Do they fight? Like,
it's like the woo, yeah.
You said that, and it was like the Hangover, like all the numbers in the air. I literally was like staring off into the distance.
Yeah, I legitimately like. What happens if, instead, Tiffany plays the shot in the dark and gets the safety, and then like what? No votes count, and then Liana and Evie arm wrestle. I don't know.
So that's actually the only other thing I had noted was I think that I guess it shows that Tiffany does trust her alliance enough. I thought that would have been a decent spot for someone to roll the die if she was that suspect of someone else playing an idol, and she seemingly thought that they probably had the numbers. I was surprised that she didn't use the die, but at the same time, I'm like kind of starting to wonder if anyone's ever going to play the die. Because so, I mean, obviously we'll get it eventually, but it's such it seems like nobody ever like remembers it, or at least like they just don't.
Things people want to hold on to, like no one wants to be the person who plays it too early, but because of that, the people who get voted off are going to be like, "Fuck, I should have played it."
Mm-hmm.
And I always say like, an idol's not a good souvenir. A dice is not a good souvenir either. Like, you may as well play it if you're feeling a little uneasy.
Yeah. Well, I think that the issue was... Well, actually, I guess from Voce's perspective, it's either a 3-1 or a 2-1 vote, but then I just don't think he had any suspicion this was going to happen.
No, I agree. I don't know either.
So I think it's just if every vote's going to be a blindside, right? Like, and everyone has to be very extra cognizant of making sure that people are blindsided. Like, maybe people just never play it because they never feel that they are in trouble.
And it goes back to the argument we had last week: is that if you play it and you get the immunity, is it just yours to wait and play forever?
I think it acts as an idol for that tribal council. So. It's as if you had an idol and played it in that tribal council.
That's still very, very risky then to losing a vote. And I don't know if I like that either.
I mean these twists are convoluted, confusing. There's many weird, different corner cases that they seem like they don't make sense or work, and definitely like not particularly compelling television in my opinion. But we gotta roll with it. So
before we close it out, I am curious. I want to ask what's your guys' kind of graded score for this season so far? 2 episodes in.
I'm gonna give it a C at the moment.
Oh, C. I was gonna give it out of 10.
Okay. Out of 10, I'll give it a. That's a little different. I'll give it a 6 right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6 out of 10, and I would say like C plus if we're gonna do A through F rating, I guess.
I was gonna do a D, so I guess I'm at like a 5.
Yeah,
and I'm in a tough spot now too because I was telling Brian I'm watching Gen X versus the Millennials right now, and I'm not a fan of that season, so I'm kind of caught.
Hey, Ben and I aren't either, so you have good taste.
I'm kind of caught in between 2 seasons I'm not huge fans of, so I'm hoping one of them turns around.
Yeah.
Millennials versus Gen X is like, I think, relatively overrated. I think it's just because it sits in like a weird era where there are so many like mediocre to bad seasons, and it's like average, I would say.
Yeah,
but because it's
the last season I blogged, and then I stepped away from the Survivor community before this podcast. So I don't know if that says anything to you, but
I think the one thing that this season has going compared to that season is that I think Gen X versus Millennials, I don't think that there's a lot of likable or great players on that season, at least not that I've seen so far. Where at least with this one, I do think that there's some good players that we've seen already 2 episodes in. So I think this season definitely has it going for that. So I'm not going to say that this season so far is my least favorite because
Millennials Gen X has a good winner. I'll say that. I think the winner is a good player. Anyways.
Yeah, at the time it was debatable. It was debated, I think, but I don't want to spoil anything. So yeah, I mean, my biggest plus for this season so far has just been I really like the majority of the cast. I think they're pretty fun for the most part that we've seen of them. But there are, like as we said, a handful of people that we've gotten like next to nothing from. Like most of Luvu, and then like Jeannie, we've gotten like almost nothing from. So like that's like 6 to 7 people. Like we've gotten some from now Deshaun. We got a little bit of content from Danny, and then like Nasir a little bit. But like for the most part, the 3 women on Luvu plus Jeannie have been very not on the show. So that's been my main issue with like the editing, I guess. But I do also want to give credit to these like flashback scenes from home things that while they're kind of like cheesily edited, I do appreciate getting more context about people's lives and personalities up front, and like kind of done in a creative way. It kind of like humanizes the player a little bit more. So I don't know. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad. I think so far it's a mixed bag.
Yeah,
agree.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. We have any predictions, I guess, for who's going to be the next boot?
I almost suspect that maybe we'll get a Yase upset. That will be insane. But let's also remember they're going off of what's going to be close to 6 days without Flint. So I don't want to commit to that. I think we're unfortunately. I think we're just going to keep getting predictable challenges. My one prediction is at least one other person will find the idol. That's my one go-to.
Yeah, I think if Yase wins, probably Ua will lose, and Brad could potentially be the next boot. I think they're setting him up to be a pretty early boot from the edit that he's getting. I mean, he could have a turnaround. He could be getting the like. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He doesn't fit in at it, and then he has a dramatic like comeback and like finishes in 4th or something, and he becomes the person who should have won. But I don't know about that.
I'm gonna piggyback off yours and just say Brad finds the idol, just to get crazy.
That would be crazy. I would like that. I would love to hear him talk about goats eating astroturf, or broccoli being tiny trees.
I bet you the goat part people would just think he's just talking about home or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually pretty. That would be a pretty easy one for him to pass up, I think. If you got that one. Yeah. Stupid.
Oh,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that assessment. I think that if Yasti pulls off an upset, then Brad is the most likely boot, and if not, probably going to be Xander.
yeah, do I get half credit if he's the first boot? Oh, no, he's not even the first boot from his tribe. Never mind.
No.
Pretend I didn't even start that sentence.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We didn't go for 2 hours tonight. We only went for a little over 1 hour, which is our shortest podcast yet.
We'll jump back to 2 hours next week. It's okay.
Yeah, once there's a lot to talk about and we get maybe some intrigue from a new tribe. Like if Luvu goes to tribal council, I think we could have a lot to talk about. But
Hopefully next week I'll figure out my lighting situation. I know people can't see my 2 fridges, but it's, I look like I'm like on a.
It's got a green screen in your 2 fridges.
Look, I'm reading like a hostage, like a hostage letter or something like that.
Oh man.
I mean, you didn't have to self snitch on yourself there. You could have said, "Oh, I only have 1 fridge now."
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe Tamor can just like filter in like a nice fridge behind me. That's
Hey,
all.
I edit these, and I can do that if you want.
Yeah, put a nice fridge behind me. One that like
Put Dylan in a fridge.
makes the ice. Yeah, do what you want.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've dragged this on probably as long as we can. I'm glad we got some good discussion on this. I don't want us to fully agree on everything every single week because that would be really boring. So I hope that next week we get some more interesting stuff to talk about, and hopefully no new stupid advantage that is being introduced to completely make the game unfollowable. But until then, this has been the Blindsiders. When you guys shout out your social media, starting with Dylan.
DJ Clubberlang with 2 B's. Twitter, follow me there. I yell about now Survivor and sports, and that's it.
Yes. Follow me on Twitter at @theFakeBmar. That's BMARR. I also host our Wicked Good Sports channel. We get 4 to 5 videos a week, every week on that channel, talking about a lot of sports topics. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, TikTok, please. I just put up a TikTok today. Not like a crazy one, but I'm getting back into it. I promise I have a lot of ideas. I just haven't made the time to actually film them.
Go listen to old episodes of Wicked Good Show with me and Brian and Brian and Payne covering certain TV shows.
Yes.
Yes.
If you need something else.
My family's very hungry.
Yeah. Go check out the old joint interview thing that me and Dylan did a few years ago with Brian and Liam. That was a lot of fun. We talked about reality TV on that if you're a reality TV fan.
Bin Laden got brought up a lot.
He did.
Yeah.
Make an announcement. I am teaming back up with Liam. Ironically, Liam left Better Radio to start his own show called Good Vibes Live, and his host is not reliable enough to make it a consistent show, so he asked me to be his co-host. So full circle, except we put the name on this channel for Better Radio. And yeah, so Good Vibes Live. Go check me out there. We'll 100% just be whatever is happening that week. We're going to interview a lot of comedians. We'll probably interview you guys again if you're down, even on your own episodes.
Maybe we can try to sneak Liam on here for a... he can't watch any other episodes. He just has to watch 1 episode with no idea what's going on.
I was going to say, he has not watched Survivor since Worlds Apart, I think.
He'd probably come into this and be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yep.
I can't. We're all in this, like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. So, yeah, that could be fun. Definitely check that out and look out for it on this channel. You can follow me on Twitter at BenSharon. You can also check out the BB finale also happened this week, which is why we're recording this a day late. Starting next week, hopefully we'll get it out a day earlier. Because we'll hopefully be recording after the Survivor episode. But Brian and I had to record with our friend Chad for the Big Brother 23 finale. I won't spoil that just in case if there's people who are watching this and haven't seen it and haven't been following the show for the last month and haven't known who the winner was obviously going to be.
What's it like to not have your summer completely consumed by Big Brother? I wonder.
Yeah. Dylan, can let us know.
That's good. I got consumed by Survivor.
Yeah, exactly. And then, the Circle Season 3 US also just wrapped up this week, and hopefully me and Brian will have a chance to sit down on Influencer Chat and go over the season as a whole, because, I had to release it at literally the most inconvenient time for us to record podcasts with the end of Big Brother.
With Big Brother and Survivor happening, the Circle is the one that had to fall by the wayside.
Yeah. We'll hopefully break down the season. It's a very interesting season, very, controversial potentially, but maybe interesting to talk about ending. Other than that, you can follow the main channel on YouTube at Wicked Good Everything, on Twitter at WG Everything, on Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram at Wicked Good Everything. And this channel is Better Radio, and this has been The Blindsiders. We'll see you next week.